Hi everyone, this is JoAnn. This tape is supposed to help you get to know me. So I'll tell you a little bit about my life. My favorite holiday is Christmas. I love seeing the happiness on the kids' faces and all the chaos. I know most people find it very tiresome and can't wait for it to be over, but I absolutely love it. I had always promised my niece that when she turned 30, I would take her on a vacation. So lo and behold, she turns 30. So I decided to take her along with Shannon and Lisa, and I took my sister-in-law for company for me because I'm too old for the three of them. And we took a cruise that went from Rome to Venice. We had so much fun on that cruise that I'll never forget it. I was never much of a believer in ghosts or spirits. I always thought it was a hoax. But the first one I had was with my daughter. We had bought her grandmother's old house. And Shannon was very young, and she was out back on the swing set, and she was going higher and higher. Now I knew she couldn't pump, and her legs weren't moving. So I went outside and asked her who she was talking to. And she said, "I'm talking to Bobo," which is what she called her great-grandmother. "She's pushing me, can't you see?" So I was completely stunned and panicked, by the way. And at night in this same house, when we would put the kids to bed and go back downstairs, you would hear footsteps that went from one room to the other and then stopped. And this went on every single night. So I really believe that their grandmother was checking on them and making sure they were all right. That was my first experience. Later on, after, my children were grown and they had their own children, I was decorating a Christmas tree. And the year before, my mother had passed away just after Christmas. And I'm all alone decorating this tree because, as we know, I'm very anal about my Christmas tree. I hear someone say, "That's beautiful." And I turn around and my mother is sitting in the chair she had sat in the previous Christmas, telling me how beautiful it looked. Well, that didn't freak me out so much because now I'm getting used to these experiences. One memory I remember so vividly, I was probably about 4, and my grandmother and grandfather lived right next door to a big fields and woods and trees, and my grandfather would take me with a little pail and we'd go pick blueberries. We'd eat blueberries and we'd pick blueberries, and then we would bring them home and my grandmother would make a blueberry pie. I don't know why this stuck in my mind, but it's the main memory I have with my grandfather. Stella was my baby. I loved her so much. She was just part of my family, and she knew if I was sad, she'd be sitting in my lap. She'd put her head on my shoulder, and I've never had another pet that has ever done that. I still miss her. I guess one of the biggest gifts I received was we held a volunteer day at the gardens. Greg wasn't doing well, and this was his vision, and we really wanted him to be able to see accomplishments. And a large group, larger than I ever expected, got together and came down on a Saturday, gave their own time, and worked on the gardens and the yurt. And when Greg came down the driveway and saw it, he just cried. That was just spectacular to see all these people come together for that. Another act of kindness, I guess you could call it that. Greg passed away in December, and in February, on Valentine's Day, I received these beautiful flowers, with a card that said, "Love, Greg," which of course brought me to tears. And again, at our anniversary, I received another bunch of flowers. Well, come to find out, when he knew he was dying, he had called the florist to arrange for me to get flowers for Valentine's and my anniversary every year. Finally, the credit card evidently expired, and they called the office. And I know, even though they haven't said anything, that the kids continue to pay for these flowers year after year. And I do appreciate it because I really look forward to it. It contains my favorite flowers always, which is sunflowers. For some reason, I love sunflowers, and Greg knew that, so the bouquet always has sunflowers in it. I think the biggest influence in my life has been Greg. And I grew up with very little confidence. I held back from doing things because I was afraid I wasn't good enough, or people would laugh at me if I did it wrong. And he made me realize that you'll never know if you don't try. And he gave me the confidence to try lots of different things. And I did realize that I do have something to offer. And I'm no longer a wallflower. I enjoy being with people, and I enjoy trying new things. So I think he's been my biggest influence. One of the biggest decisions I made in my life was that my family was going to be first, always. And to this day, there's nothing that makes me happier than being with them or seeing their accomplishments. And there's nothing that makes me sadder than seeing them hurt. I just really love my family.